Okay, so I think I'm live. Let me just share my camera. What which day it is? Thursday. Today I'm just going to share my screen and you will be able to see like what is happening. And by the way, congratulations to make till the day 3. And today we are going to understand about the functions. And I have added a new thing in this session. So that is also we are going to do. And that is all about the modules. So that was not previously in our course, like, but just now I just thought that we can basically cover that part as well. So I'm just going to add that thing inside our syllabus. So just give me a second and I'm pretty sure that you are able to see my screen, isn't it? So a quick check, everything is visible. You can see me, you can see everything. And this is what we did yesterday. So yesterday we actually covered our what we switch statement, if else statement, the condition statements to be exact. So today first topic that we are going to cover is functions. Then we will cover loops. And after that, I'm just going to tell you about modules. Yeah, so modules. And so I just added this module things which was not previously because we are also going to have a Netflix clone session after this session by using React. So in that React now we will basically going to use it. So that is why I've just added it here and hopefully you are going to like it. Okay, so let's start with our functions. So till now we know about values, variables and condition statements. So let's just understand about the functions and all, shall we? Okay. And by the way, now I have also added one more thing, the promises. So it's a little bit advanced topic, but still I'm just going to add the promises in the session as well. So like we are just elevating the standard of this essentials a lot. So now it's more like more important than ever for you to watch today and tomorrow's stream because we are actually adding two extra topics which are not easy ones. So these are the advanced topic of JavaScript modules and the promises. So by the way, for that we must know about the functions. So first thing that we should know about is functions. So what is a function? So function is not a new concept. It's not related to JavaScript. It's actually throughout all the programming language we use functions. So what is a function? You can imagine a function like a small program that you can call but whenever you want. So it's a reusable piece of code. So suppose if I have, let's say, two variables here, a 19 and const b here, let's say 399, and I just want to add them. So I'm going to do a plus b here and voila. So let's just go live, and this was our like just it. And let me just open the inspect because today also we are using inspect part. From the tomorrow actually we are going to work with our document. So today is the last day for this console, not actually the last day. From tomorrow we are also going to update the UI, and here we are. So see, I'm getting the sum. I can also do the multiplication, addition, right? Whatever operation you want. So what if you just want to repeat this piece of code again and again? So suppose I just want to get this a plus b multiple times with different numbers. So how you can do that? So for that you have to create a function. Functions are, by the way, very easy. So let me just tell you how to create functions in JavaScript. And I'm just going to tell you about the ES6, the latest way to create a function. I'm not going to cover the older way. I'm just going to cover the latest way. ES6. So it's gonna be a little bit. So this is also I added new previously, but I'll just tell you quickly how you can create the functions by using a regular function. So how to create a function? First of all, just create a function name, so const, and you can create your function any name. So I'm just going to go with fun, or let's say my function, anything will work. So any name that you feel like. So I'm just going to create our first function as my function. Yeah. And after that, equal sign. And after that, after two round brackets. Yeah. Equal sign again, lesser than sign. So we call this arrow. And after that, have a curly brackets. Okay. So this seems little weird, but this is how we create function in JavaScript. Na? So this is how you create a function in JavaScript. So const, okay, const, let const, whatever you want to use, but I'll suggest you to go with const, because so that you cannot change the value of this. So you can also use the let here, but I will suggest you to use const. After that, name of your function, then equal sign, then equal sign, then these two brackets, round brackets, again equal sign, and the greater than, lesser than, what, or like however you see it. For some people it's greater than sign, for some people it's letter, it's not, it's perspective, na? So yeah. So it's gonna look like an arrow, so that's why we call this thing a arrow function. So by the way, it's just a normal function with actually with different syntax. Yeah, we have created our first function, and you can write all of your code here, anything you want to write. So I'm going to copy paste this whole code here, and just a quick save. That's all. So voila, you have created your first function. So you can function, condition statements. Also, we are going to understand all the loops, and also you can write loops as well. So everything is going to work here. So it's not like that you can only write these kind of statements. You can write anything. It's just a small program, with a name. So you have created your first function, but if you look closely, I'm not getting any console here. Like this thing is like completely blank. Why? Because after creating a function, you also need to call your function. So you have to basically call this function. This is the only function declaration part. You have just declared your function, you have just created your function. To use your function, you have to call it as well. So how to call your function? Just type name of your function, and after that these brackets. So this we call like calling a function in executing a function, like whatever you want to give it, this thing name, you can give, you can call it anything, but at the end of the day we are just using our function. To use this function, just write it name, write its name, and after that these bracket. That is all. And if I'll just go here and if I'll just save it now, you will see your output. So just give me a second, I have to save it as well. So just give it a second, my laptop is lagging a bit today. And I think, by the way, any doubts in the syntax and all? Fat arrow, fatty arrow, yeah, you can call it whatever you want. So see, I'm getting my output here. So I'm just going to write, add more line here. I am a function, console.log. I am a function, and save it. And you will see, say 418, and I am a function here. And you can call your function as many times you want. So I'm just going to call my function, let's say five times, and save it. And this piece of code is going to get executed 5 times. So one time for this, one time for this, and again. So see, I'm just getting 5 times this thing. So this is a function in a nutshell. But the story doesn't end here, because in a function you can do much more than this. So what I mean by this, so I'm just going to write a hello, simple hello world here. And next thing, what you can do now, you can pass some values to a function. So what I mean by this, so when you call your function like this, you can basically pass some values. So it's like, hey function, can you just execute yourself, and these are some values for you. So if you want to use these values, you can use these values if you want. So how to pass these values? So here now, when you call your function, you can basically pass some values here. So it could be a number, a string, or whatever you want. So right now I'm just going to pass, let's say, a string here. So hello. Okay, I'm just going to pass a hello here and save it. So if you'll see, like, let me just remove the hello from here and save it. So I'm just getting world here. So yep, you have passed this value hello here, but that is not actually making any difference in our output. Like, you are still getting the world inside your console. You are still getting your word. Like, then what is the purpose of this thing? So remember what I thought, told you that you can pass some values, but now it is on our function to use this value or not. And if you want to use this value inside your function, you have to specify some parameters here. So what is a parameter? So parameter is a special kind of variable that can hold the initial values. So I'm just going to, and it's just a variable, a normal variable. You just have to write a name here. So let me just let's say greeting. So greeting is a variable, Greeting is a variable which is actually going to store this value. So whenever you are going to call your function, you are just going to pass a value here, and you are storing this value inside this parameter or a special kind of variable, and the name of the variable is greeting. You can name it anything, but in this situation this greeting was making sense, so that is why I just use this greeting variable. Yeah, okay, okay, then now let's save it. And by the way, I'm still getting the same output. Like, what is the purpose of using this parameter then? So like, you have just grabbed this variable, this value hello. Now you also have to use it. So I'm just going to use it here. So inside my console, first thing I'm just going to log is greeting, then comma, and then world here. And let's see a quick save here. And I'm just going to get hello world here. Okay, so see here, just see I'm getting hello world here. So now you can call your function multiple times, and every time you can pass different values to get different output. So now I'm passing hi, let me just pass hey, and let's just go with namaste as well. So I use this namaste a lot, like also in my personal portfolio you will see I don't use hello world. Most of the time I use namaste world. Okay, so just wait a minute and see, I'm getting hello world, hi world, hey world, namaste world. So what is happening here? So every time you call your function, every time you call your function, this greeting is going to store this value that you are going to pass here. So for the first time, when I called my function first time, the value of greeting was hello. So I just got hello world. Okay. The second time I called my function, so this hi was passed. No? So hi is the value of this greeting, and that is why I got this greeting was replaced by our hi, and I got hi world here. And for the third time, like hey, namaste, the story goes on, and we call these things here parameters. We call them parameters. Parameters. Yep. And the values you pass here are called as arguments. So I've seen many people using these two terms in a wrong way, but it is actually the correct way. The values you pass here are the arguments, and the variables you have here to grab these values, to grab those arguments, are actually called as parameters. I hope this thing is clear. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, sure. I'm just going to explain this thing one more time. So don't worry about that. And I'll have a different example this time. Can we write multiply by 5 times? No, no, you cannot do this. Like, why you want to do this? Like, multiply by 5 times. No, don't do this. It's just going to multiply your function by 5 times. Network lagging. Share the old code. Yeah, share my all of my code on my GitHub. So I'll just share you this link. Yeah, we can return this thing as well. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat this thing one more time. Okay, with some different example. So let's just create a function sum. So as I told you, you can basically name your function anything. So I'm just going to create a function sum here. Okay, and this sum function will have two values here. A equals to, let's say, 1, and b equals to 2, and I'm just going to log out this thing. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick console dot log of this. So 1 plus 2, 3. So I'm just going to call this function here. So this is how you create your function. So after creating a function, you have to call it as well, so that it can execute the code you have here. Yep. So a quick save, and just give it a second. It's lagging a bit today, so that is why. Okay, see, now I'm getting 3 here. So in the output, I'm getting 3 here. Okay, that is right. But as I told you that you can pass some initial values to your function here. So I'm just going to pass 1 comma 3, and the thing 2. And the thing is, you can pass multiple values from here. So right now I'm just passing 1 or 2. You can pass multiple values, let's say 3, 4, as many values you want. So right now I'm just passing 2 arguments here, and you basically have to separate all of your arguments by using a comma. So in this situation, I'm passing two arguments, 1 comma 2. Yeah, and I'll just save it. And right now we are just passing these values. We are not actually using these arguments. Like we are not using these arguments inside our function at all. So we are just passing it. So how basically you can use these parameters or arguments here. So for that, you basically have to specify some names, a special kind of variable name. So let's suppose I'm just going to go with x comma y. So what does it means? That whenever you are going to call your function, so you basically have to pass these two values. And the first value is actually going to get stored inside this x, and the second value will be stored inside this y. So the order is important here. The order is important. In the order you have provided the values, in the same order they are going to get saved inside these parameters here. So at the end of the day, these parameters are just regular variables. They are just regular variables which are actually going to store some values for them. That is all. That's it. Okay. And now you can use these variables here. So I'm just going to log out these two things. So first of all, console.log x comma y, x comma x, and let's have a string here, and y comma y. So let's see what are the values I am getting for x and y. So if I'll save it, so see what happens here. So you called this function sum, and you're passing this value 1 and 2 here. So for this execution, x is going to be equals to 1 and y is going to be equals to 2. Okay, and you can pass this function multiple times with different values. So I'm just going to call this function again with some different values here. So like this, and the second time when I called it, I am going to pass some different values. So at this time, like at this moment, x is going to be 1 2 3 4 and y is going to be equals to 35. And if I just save it, and if I just save this, you will see inside a console of 1 and 2 and then 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah, so this, so these two outputs are for this execution. And again you call your function, with different values, and this time the value of x is 1 2 3 4 and the value of y is 35. Okay, so that is all about the functions. Okay, that's all about the function. This function is called yeah, this function, like you can call it function, don't call it arrow function, Naveen. Yeah, by the way, it have a name of arrow function, but this is how you create functions in JavaScript. Okay, so how to do the assignment? So like you will get everything here. So you'll just go here, just go inside this description, and you are going to have one link here, no? This one link. Just click on this one link, and you're going to get everything here. How to mark your attendance, all the assignments. You can upload your assignments here, so everything here, no? So just give it a second. So it's just going to get load. A quick refresh. Just okay. And see, for the day three, you will see a mark attendance. Let's click here. How much you like this session on the scale of 0 to 10? So 10 right now. So I'm just going to go with 10 here. If you're interested in our full stack program, so obviously yes. So yes here. And after that, if you have any suggestion for us, so right now I don't have any. So I'm just going to go with nothing and submit. So this is how you can mark your attendance. You can join our Telegram group, WhatsApp group. You can refer it to earn some money, like some LU coins. Now. So this is a money that we use. So this is how you can mark your attendance. You can watch the video again and again here, and you basically have to have your attendance more than 50% to get your certificate. Okay, so what I mean now, so now I can use it. I can use this x and y value here. So console.log x plus y. So what is the value of x plus y? X plus y here. And a quick save, and you will get the value of x and y here, like added as well. So this is how you can use your function. So now you have basically created your first function, which is just going to do a console.log for the sum. So you can use this function again and again to get a sum of two numbers. So I think caps lock was on, and save it. So for the first time, I'm just going to get 3. For the second time, I'm just going to get a 1269, and you can just call this function as many times you want, and it's just going to give you the addition of these two numbers. Like whatever number you are passing here, you're just going to get the addition of the numbers. So this is a function in a nutshell. This is how function works. So function is just a repeatable piece of code that you can call anytime, whenever you want, and you can basically pass some initial values to it. That is all about the function. And if you have any doubts till now, I can just recap it here. So why it did not add, like when it did not add, like Ankit, like it did the addition every time. Okay, so let me just go assignment part. Like Durga, I'm not able to understand what you're trying to say, like which assignment part you're talking about. Oh, Utpal, you have just missed the introduction of the functions. Okay, Sumit is asking why I am writing this greater than. So it's a very special symbol. So this is a special symbol, equals to and a greater than sign. It's a, Sumit is asked this thing. So this is just a symbol, Sumit. Yeah. When you create a function, this is the syntax. So this is a rule how you create a function. Okay, this is a rule how you can create a function. Mm, okay, I think my stream is lagging a bit, no, today. Why we are using important CSS? Why we use? So for that you have to visit. We must use const only, sir. That is not important. You can also use let here as well. So that is not important. You can also use the let. But the thing now, with the let, you can change the value of sum. So somewhere down line, you can make sum equals to some value. Let's say like this. So now you will end up with some errors and all. So that is why I'll just suggest you. So whenever you create a function, always use const. Okay, always use const. Yeah, I have seen this. It's lagging a lot today. Mm-mm-mm. Okay, so moving on. So what I hope this like basic part of the function is clear. So we just have to cover the last part of the function, which is return. So what is the use of program in a website? Unboxing forever. Like obviously it's gonna have so many use cases. So from tomorrow, like when we are actually going to update the UI and all, so then you will realize that what is the use of this all now, what is functions and if and else, variables, values. So these things are going to play a very important role in a website. Just wait for one more day. Just we have to basically cover all the basics first. Yeah, so what, look, where was I? So not only a function can accept some initial values, it can also return something. So what I mean by return is that, so here we are just passing some values, but your function can also return a value. So after it's get executed, so it can return a value to us back. So how to do this? Just go over here and just type return and whatever value you want. So I'm just going to return, let's say 100 here. Okay, and save it. So, and you will see in your output that nothing is changed. That what is this return is doing, like what is the purpose of this return? The purpose of return is this now. So now I can call my like this, and this function is actually going to return the value 100. Every time you will call this function now, it is going to return the value 100 every time. So to get this value, you basically have to save this value somewhere. So that is the only way to use some values, isn't it? So how we can save a value, how we can store this value? By creating a variable. So I'm just going to create a variable like this. Let's say any random value equals to. Okay, so what is happening here? So I'm calling my function here with the value 1 and 2. Okay, so as soon as you write this thing, your function is going to start working. So it's just going to execute this code with whatever code you have inside a function is actually going to start. So first line says console.log sum comma x plus y. So it will look for what is the value of x and y here. So the value of x is 1, the value of y is 2. So that is why we got 1 plus 2, that was 3. And after that, return 100. So as soon as it will encounter this line, return 100, it's just going to stop its execution and it is just going to throw this value here. Okay, so now this any random value is 100. Yep. So I can basically just to check, let's just see. So I'm just going to do a quick console here, console.log any random value like our variable name. So I'm just going to copy here and paste it here and save it. So see, this any random value is actually going to store whatever. It's just going to store whatever your sum function was returning. Okay. So every time you will call your function, this function is going to return this value. Now it's on you to save this value. It's on you to use it this value, or you can completely ignore it. That is on you. Okay. So what I will do now, instead of returning this 100 and all, so why don't we return x plus y? So now this function is actually returning the value x plus y. So what is the x plus y here? So x is 1 plus y equals to 2, and which is equals to 3. So now this function is actually returning 3 here. Okay, so now right now this function is returning 3. So now this is not any random value. So let's see, it's just going to be 3 here. So I'll save it, and if you'll see here, so see I'm getting 3 here. So every time you will call your function, so let me just call our function one more time, and I'll just create a variable result equals to sum, and let's just pass some random values here, like this number comma this number, any random number, and save it. And now this result variable is going to store the value that this sum was returning. So any guess, if I'll do a console.log for the result, so what will be the value of result? Just take a guess here. So what will be the value of result? If I just do a console.log for the result, what will be the value of result? Just take a guess. So till like until you're taking guess, let me just explain you. So when you call this sum function, so this piece of code will execute. So line number 1 says x plus y, value of x is this number, value of y this number. So okay, so by mistake I just did the console log here. Okay, no worries. And after that I'm doing return x plus y. So you're actually returning this value. So if your function is going to return something, if a function is returning something, you also have to save it somewhere. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it. So you also have to save it somewhere. So that is why I'm having another variable here, result, to store the result. Yep. So that is, I will see here, result is actually equals to the sum of these two numbers. So this is the power of function. So like now we have basically completed the function. Okay, yeah, exactly. Result, the sum, everybody like got that. So you actually did this calculation like 2, 3, 4, 8, 7, 9. Nice. Okay, so that is all about function. So I'll just go through one more way. There's one more syntax by using which you can create a function. So by the way, I'll just suggest you to go with this syntax. So it's the latest way to create a function in JavaScript according to ES6. And we have one more way to create the function. And so I'm just going to remove this all now. And let me just tell you about the different way to create a function. So right now, how we were creating a function. So let me just create a function. Say hello. So say hello is a function. Okay. This function is going to take up one parameter, which will be name. And we are just going to console.log here. Hello, comma, name. Yep. And now whenever you will call this function say hello with your name, it's just going to say hello to you. Say hello, John. So you will see inside our console, I will get hello, John. Okay, hello, John. You can call this function as many times you want, and you're just going to get that particular thing. So let's say hello Jane, and second time I will just get hello Jane here. So this is what we call a arrow function. Then we also have one more way to create a function, but that's not that important, but still I'll just cover that in a minute. So to create a function by like according to the older way, just type function here. After that, you should have a name of your function. So that could be anything. So this is how we create a function in the older ways. Yeah, name of your function, brackets, and the curly brackets. That is all. And you can accept your parameters here. So by the way, this thing is same as this thing. So there are some internal differences. So if you want to know more about this, like what is the difference between an arrow function and a regular function, apart from the versions and all. So it's the latest and the best way to create function. So this is the regular function. And if you want to know more about this, you can basically subscribe to our future app. So in the future app, we basically cover all these things. So you'll see our one link here now. So I think here we have, in the description you will see this future app here. So this is, where's future app? Yeah, this one. Enroll to our future app subscription. So in this future app we cover this advanced topic. Yeah? So this is our future app. It's just going to cost you 400 rupees for 2 months, and here we basically give you certificates for the advanced topics. So every week you will have new certificates. So 2 months, 8 certificate. Yeah, so if you want to know more about differences between the regular function and the arrow function, but I will just use the arrow functions. Yeah, so this is the older. Okay, so if this thing is clear, so we can move to the next part. Can I also arrow and anonymous function are same? No, Naveen, arrow function and anonymous function are completely different thing. Our pointers are used in JavaScript. No, we don't have a concept of pointers directly. So we use the references and also we don't have pointer concept in JavaScript. Yeah, Leon, you can use anything here. So if you want to, so somebody is asking, can we use this math dot random here? Yeah, you can use it. Like you can use anything. So this is just for that one person. Naveen, to be honest, ES6 is not the latest version, but it's most latest version is I think ES 2022. So like every year you will have a newer version, but ES6 is more than enough. That is why I'm telling you that if you want to know more about this stuff, you can just get into our future app. So like this is not possible to cover here because we have all the basics. Okay, so if this thing is out of our way, so let's start with our digit loop. Yeah, today, like right now, we are going to start the loop, Vishwas, and how to take the input in JS. For that, yesterday, remember I told you about the prompt and how exactly we take the input from the user. We are going to cover tomorrow. So we don't have that input field like C, C++, and Java. So you can basically take the input from your from HTML. So you will have an input field here like this. From this input field you can take the input from the user. So we don't take you will have a black screen and you have to type the number like this. So this is not going to happen. We will have a proper input field, proper input field. So let me make this thing. So here you will have the input. So see, this is the okay. So let's just understand about the one more concept, loops. So what is a loop? So loop we use loop to repeat a piece of code like a line or something like that again and again depending on a condition. So a loop will have a condition, and if that condition is true, it's just going to repeat a piece of code again and again. It's just going to loop over that. So suppose if you just want to write, let's say console.log hello like 100 times, or like console.log hello world like 100 times. So like there's so many times. So how you can do this? So for these kind of situations we have loops. So like if you just want to have output like this, in this situation we have loops. So we have basically three type of loops in JavaScript. So for loop, while loop, and do while loop. So let's just go let's just do all of these three. So first loop is for loop. So how to write, what is the syntax for loop? Just write for here, round brackets, and after that you will have this curly brackets. So this is how you write a for loop. And the piece of code that you want to repeat again and again, just write inside of this bracket, curly brackets. So console.log, and hello world is the code that I want to repeat again and again. Hello world here, and save it. Yeah, and here we have to basically write some code which will actually define how your loop is going to work. So this loop will have three parts. This loop is going to have three parts. So this is the first part, then we have our second part here, and this we have the third part. So let's just understand each part one by one. So whatever you are going to write inside this first part is like a line. It's just a normal line, and it is just going to get executed once. So let me just write the loop first, and then we are just going to understand each part one by one. No? So I'm just going to create a let I equals to 0, then I equals to, let's say, 10, and I plus plus. So you have basically created your first loop, and I'm just going to make you understand about this thing. So this is the basically most important part of a loop, and like this is the only important part of a loop. So see, I'm getting hello world 10 times here. So a console of your Chrome, like Chrome console, won't show you the 10 output. It's just going to tell you that I have just did this thing console 10 times. So it's just not going to write hello world 5 times. It's just going to show you the number just to save the space now. Just to save the space here, we are just getting a 10 here instead of 10 console.logs. Yeah, but trust me, we got 10 outputs here. So let's just understand this thing. So all the magic lies here. So all the magic is actually here. So let's just understand this. So it's our first part. So whatever you will write here, it's just going to be get executed one time. So here we just have to initialize a value, anything, any variable and all. So we generally initialize a value here, and then move to the second part. So if you have this is the one of the most important part here. So if you have a true here, if you have a true here, so your code is going to get executed. Okay, if you have a true here, your code is just going to get inside the loop. So if you have your true here, it's just going to execute your code. Okay, and after executing your code, it is just going to execute this third part. Yeah, so this is the third part. So I'm just going to make I equals to I plus 1. So here I'm just making I equals to I plus 1. I'm just increasing the value of I by 1. So what I have done here, now let me just show it to you. So first thing I did, I just created a variable I equals to 0. Mostly we just name it I. You can just go with any variable. So I just created a variable I, and you can basically increase the value of I by 1 by doing I equals to I plus 1. Okay, this we call incrementing a variable. So how we are doing this? Initially I was 0, and after that I'm making the value of I equals to I plus 1. So if you look closely, this I will be replaced by the previous value of I. So what is the previous value of I? 0 plus 1, which is equals to 1. So now the value of I is 1. So I can also show this thing to you if I do a console.log of I here. And if I'll just go over here, so I'm just going to get 1 here. You can also repeat this thing, like if you want to make I equals to I plus, let's say, 48, and see, you will get the 48 here. See, I'm getting 48, and you can repeat this thing as many times you want. So I equals to I plus, let's say, 10. So what is going to happen here? For the line number 1, I was 0. For the line number 3, I equals to I plus 48. So what is the previous value of I till here? Till here, what is the previous value of I? It is 0. So 0 plus 48. So you got 48. Yeah. At the next line, I equals to I plus 10. So what is the previous value of I? It's 48 plus 10, which is equals to 58. So now the value of I is 58. And if I'll save it, and you can see in the console, we are just going to get 58. Yeah. What is the difference between I plus 1 and instead of okay, Leon, you can so by the way, so instead of writing I equals to I plus 1, we also have one more way to increase the value of any number by 1. That is, just write your number, like your variable, plus plus. Okay, plus plus, I plus plus. So it is just going to increase the value of I by 1. Okay, so either you can write this or this, so both are just going to do the same thing for you. That is same, na? So that is what I have written here. So let's just have a recap here. So let me just write a false here. So if you will have a false here, so that means this piece of code is not going to get executed. So for now, let me just write true here. So how this loop actually get executes? Close. So we actually have infinite loop. Yeah. So first line says just create a variable I, just create a variable I with the value of 0, and then it's going to check like if we have the true or a false in the second part. Now if you have a true in the second part, it's just going to execute the code like that you have written inside. Now so whatever code you have here, so it's just going to execute this code. Yep. And after that, it's just going to come to the third part. So whatever you have written here is just going to get executed. So here we have written I equals to I plus 1. So now our I value is incremented by 1 here. Yeah. So in this situation, now, if you just try to execute this code, you will get an infinite amount of a loop. The reason is being because we have a true here. So true, execute the code, then it will come here, and again it is going to check for the new value. Okay, so again it is just going to check for the new value, and it will execute our code one more time. Then it is going to come here at the third part one more time. It is just going to execute this code, and it will just come here. Okay, so it's a loop. Its loop starts from here to here, then here, then here, and then here. Okay, so it is like this. So it's a loop basically, you know, it's a loop. So like this. So this is our first step, this is our second step, third, fourth, and then 2 3 4 2 3 4 2 3 4 2 3 4, until and unless you have a true here. And if you just put a false here, at this moment, as soon as you will have a false here, it is just going to stop the loop. So that is why we don't write true and false directly. You will have some sort of condition. So other condition I'm going to put here is I less than 10. Okay, so now it's a proper loop. Let's open this thing. Okay, now it's a proper thing, like a proper loop. So in this loop you are actually going to get output like 0 to 9. So, and let's just how we are getting. We are getting output from 0 to 9. So for that, I am just also going to log out the value of I every time and save it. And let's see what is the output I'm getting. Just give it 1 second. See, I'm getting hello world 0, hello world 1, 2, 3, 4. Why don't I just log the I only? So it will be much more clear here. So let's just understand how this loop is working. So first step, create a variable I here. Okay, create a variable I here. Then check for this condition if it is true or false. So I is less than 10. Right now the value of I is 0. So 0 less than 10, yep, true. So it is just going to execute the code, this code. So console.log I. So that is why inside our console we got 1 here. Sorry, 0 here. Yeah, that is why we got 0 here, because currently the value of I is 0. Yep. And then it is just going to jump to this third part. The third part says make the value of I equals to I plus 1. So now the value of I is 1. It is again going to come here. It will check if we have a true or false here. So I less than 10, like 1 less than 10, true. So it is just going to execute this code one more time. Yep. And so that is why we got a 1 here. Then it is again going to come to this third part. Again increase the value of I by 1. So I equals to I plus 1, 2. And again it will check for the condition, and this loop is going to repeat itself again and again until until suppose we are at 9. So right now the value of I is 9. Okay, so we got 9 here. Just come here. Okay, so I equals to I plus 1. So now the value of I is 10. So check for the condition. Check for the condition. Is 10 is less than 10? Nope, it is false. So we got false here. As soon as you get a false here, this piece of code is just going to stop. No? Loop will stop. So this is how a general loop works. Okay. So let me just draw some parts. So this is 1, 2, 3. Okay, not like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So first iteration will be like first time it is just going to start with 1, 2, 3 and 4, and afterwards it's just going to repeat the step 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 until and unless it will have a false value. It's just going to repeat this 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 3, 4 again and again. Yep. And by the way, it's not necessary to put this thing here. You can also write this thing outside of it. Okay, so it's just a piece of code which will execute just once. So just leave it blank, so that is also perfect valid syntax in JavaScript. So here I'm getting the same output. Yeah, so by manipulating these conditions you can basically have a loop. Okay, you just have to write this condition. So this is the most important part here. The condition should be valid, otherwise you will fall into an infinite loop. So a loop which will never end. So suppose if I write a condition like this, let's say until and unless value of I is greater than 0. So this situation will be like always true. Okay, like let's say -1. So this is always true. So you are going to get an infinite loop. Yeah, like there's no chance that this loop is going to end. So I'll just make it equals to this. Okay, so this is a for loop. So the step is basically it will just repeat the step 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 again and again. And if it is clear, then I can just tell you about the while loop. So now rest of the loops are exactly same. The difference is in the syntax only. What is the difference between loop and for in loop? So for in loop, Pushpendra, is used for an array, or I think for the object. For loop is just a normal loop. For loop is a normal loop, and so I have a doubt in true or false. So yeah, Vishwas, what is the route you have in the true and false? Yeah, Leon, both the values are same. Like Leon, we have so many ways to write the same thing. So that is not possible to cover all the different ways. Otherwise, the session would be of, let's say, 2-3 hours long. So that is the problem. So I'll just cover the most important piece, how to do that thing. Na? By the way, that is equals to I plus 1, I plus equals to 1. Infinite loop, yeah, don't. How we can make a counter, like we have basically created a counter like na 1 2 3 4 5 6. For that we have to set timeout, I think. Yep. So if this thing is clear, so let me just tell you about the second time of loop, which is called while loop. So while loop is very simple. Just first of all, just remove this for with while, replace this for with while. And in the case of while loop, we just have a single thing here. Okay, just we have a single here, just one condition. And the incrementing part we actually write here at the very bottom. Okay, so this is a while loop. That's all. Like that is all about the while loop. So in the while loop, you just have a single part. So if this thing is true, this piece of code will get execute, and if this thing is false, it is just going to skip all the thing, and we are just going to continue. Yeah. So this is a while loop. So here we actually write the incrementing part. If I don't write this, take a guess what is going to happen if I don't write this increment part at the very bottom. So take a guess what will happen. Oh shit, I just saved it, I think. So just tell me what will be output for the situation if you won't provide any this thing. If I just remove this, what will be the output? Yep, we will get an infinite loop. Why? Because we will always have a true here. Okay, so Vishwas is asking like why I am putting true and false here. So the thing is, Actually it will check for true and false. It will actually check for true and false. Yeah. So but these type of comparison operators like this is always going to return you in true and false. Remember yesterday I told you that let me just write I plus plus. So yeah, remember yesterday, so if you can, let me just show it to you now. So why I'm just writing true and false directly. So first thing, I have to remove it here, and I basically have to save it the language, and let's just open this. Okay, so if I'll just do something like this, na, I less than 10, and if I have, let's say, the value of I equals to 7. Yeah, so what is the output I'm going to get here? True. Yeah, true. So these are the comparison operators. They will return in true and false. So you can imagine them as a true and false, na? So it is true or false, something like that. So I is equals to 7, 7 less than 10 is equals to true here. Yep. And the thing about these loops and all, na, so suppose let's take an example of while loop again. So while is actually going to check for the true and false here, a true and a false here. So I cannot directly write true and false, no? Otherwise it's not going to make any sense. So I'm not going to write true directly here. Otherwise it's just going to be inside of infinite loop. So I'll just put a condition here like this. So this condition is actually going to end up in true or a false. Yep. So that is why I'm writing this thing. So by the at the end, we are just checking for true and false here. Yeah. So this thing actually returns in true and false. So what I will do here now, I'm just going to write this thing here like as a comma. So until and unless the value of this I less than 10 is true, you will see the output. Ne? You are getting true, true, true. And as soon as the I become false, this situation become false, your loop is going to terminate. Let's see. And let me just make it, let's say equals to 5. So until and unless this condition was true, our loop was getting executed. True, 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 true. But as soon as it became false here, so that is why we are actually coming out of the loop. Yeah. So that's all about a loop. That is all. That's all about the loop. Yeah, that's great. Now we have last type of loop that we call as do while loop, which is very, very easy to write. Just instead of this while here, just remove it and just write do. That's all. And here basically you have to write while. So this is a syntax of do while loop. That's all. And save it and you will see your output here. So see, so these are actually three types of loop: for loop, while loop, do while loop. There is only one difference in the case of the do loop is, even if the condition is false, even if the condition is false, this loop will execute one time. See, right now the value of I is 16. The value of I is 16 and the condition is false. Condition is false. Still we are executing this code once. But in the case of while loop and the for loop, you won't see this thing. You won't see this thing happening. So if the right away the condition is false. If you can see closely, the value of I is 16. So 16 less than 10, nope, we put false. So this code is never ever going to execute. But in the case of do, this thing is gonna happen. So even if your condition is wrong, do while loop is just going to do while loop will work one time. The reason is that JavaScript is going to read your code from top to bottom. So for in the line number 1 we have let I equals to 16. Line number 3 do. Line number 4 console.log. Line number 5 do this thing. And at the line number 6 here we are actually checking for true and false. So we have already executed the code one time and now we are checking for the condition. So that is why like this do while loop is just going to execute one time even though the condition is false. The reason being because our JavaScript is going to read your code from top to bottom. Na? So that is the reason. I hope you understood this reason. Yep. So today we covered functions and all three type of loops. And tomorrow we are going to cover modules, promises, and document selectors. We will hope for the best that we can cover that. Otherwise, we will have cover all these topics on the day 5. So don't worry. So from tomorrow, we are actually going to modify our HTML. So, and if you want to know more about this, if you are getting fascinated, like we have a lot of things to learn. Like it's not finished yet. Nah? It's just the beginning. It is just the beginning. You just scratched the surface of JavaScript. You have just scratched the surface of development. And if you want to become pro, if you want to make your career, and if you want to earn lakhs of rupees monthly, then you should try development program. If you're interested in data science and all, you can try our full stack data science program. Just visit our website and you will see our two courses, full stack web development and full stack data science. And from now, we are going to handle everything for you from very scratch to the very advanced, and there we don't have any time limit. You will have one-to-one sessions. You can ask any doubt. You can communicate with me. You can communicate with your teacher, trainer. Basically, we don't have teachers here. We have trainers who are actually the real developers who are working for companies. So you are not going to be trained by any teachers. You are actually going to be trained by developers. We will create some project, more than 15 projects in a single go. We will have the duration of the course is 6 months. And right now, if you're trying to enroll in courses, use SK10. So let me just write it here. The coupon code is SK10. I think you know it. And if you are still just open that one link. So in the one link, we have a quick contact form there. So if you open this one link, you will have a quick communicate contact when, like if you want to get more guidance, if you're not sure how to start and all, so we will guide you as well, and that's free of cost. So just go over here and click on this talk to us button. Yeah, it will just take you to the WhatsApp, and from there we can help you to decide what to do. So we will basically guide you. Yeah. So that's all about today's session. I hope I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to do the DOM manipulation modules and also the promises, and then we can create our project. So that's it for today. I hope you understood some concept and we did fun, and I'll see you tomorrow.